So let's talk about the week that I just had self-dispatching. I ended up traveling 2,585 miles and I did 3 loads and I generated $10,400 in gross revenue this week. I'll tell you how I did it. Now I will put up screenshots of the 3 loads that I did. I just want to forewarn you, I did blur out a lot of things. You can see what each load paid though. The reason I'm blurring things out is to protect the carrier that I'm leased onto and also the brokers that I work with and the customers. I have worked hard to develop relationships, which I suggest you do as well. So I want to keep this stuff to myself. All right, so let's get into the loads. Load number 1 was $1,100. It wasn't a very long load. It went 200 miles. I emailed the broker on this load a couple of days before I got out here to the East Coast to let him know I was out here. This is a broker that I work with all the time, and he set me up with a load. So I really didn't have to look at the load boards. It's always basically the same rate at the same miles. So if you take $1,100 for the load, like you see in the screenshot here, divide that by 200 miles, you get a total of $5.50 per mile. All right, let's talk about load number 2, which is actually the load that I vlogged. If you go back a couple of videos, I did 3 videos where I was vlogging a multi-stop load that picked up last Saturday. Today is Friday the 16th, I believe. Yeah, September 16th. That load I got just via text message. Same thing. I texted the customer when I was leaving Minnesota heading out east out here and got the load. That load was 1,359 miles. It paid $5,700. That is a rate per mile of $4.19. Hopefully you can see it here in the screenshot. All right, let's talk about the third load. Here in the screenshot, you will see this was actually a pretty interesting load. So this is going to be a little explaining. You'll see in the screenshot here, this load paid $3,600 to come back out east. I finaled Tuesday in Minnesota, spent one night at home, picked up another load, and came back out here. This load consisted of 1,026 miles. It paid me $3,600. How I got this load is I emailed the broker and then there was 2 phone calls. So this is the first time I actually spoke with somebody on the phone for these 3 loads for me to generate $10,400 this week. But let's talk a little bit about this load. Now I've worked with this broker before and this lane from Minnesota out east here is kind of drying up. They had it on the board for $3,200. I emailed the broker called me, and because I have established a relationship with this broker, I was able to negotiate a little bit on this. But let me tell you why I was able to negotiate. The first load I ever hauled for this broker, I did everything I could. I did check calls. I kept him informed all the time. And the broker had made a joke with me on the phone. He goes, "You know what? Don't worry about calling me tomorrow. You don't sound like a guy that wears flip-flops." And I thought that was funny. So actually I wrote that down on the Raycon that this broker likes to joke around. So when I called the broker the other day on Tuesday to get this load for Wednesday that brought me out here out east, I said, "Hey, it's me, Scott, non-flip-flop wearing truck driver. You know I'll get the load there on time," because this was a pretty tight window that the load had to be here. And it was a frozen load. And I knew for me to get out here, I'd have to take all the tolls. So like I said, this load was on the load board for $3,200. I talked them up to $3,600. That's $400 more than what they were willing to pay if you were just doing like a click and go thing. So if you take the $3,600, divide that by the miles, 1,026, you get a rate per mile of $3.50 on this load. All right, let's break down this $10,400 week. I work for a 90-10 split carrier, meaning I keep 90% of whatever the truck generates. So my 90% of $10,400 is $9,360. Now let's talk about variable costs. I will share variable costs on loads, but not my fixed costs, because that's my business and everybody's fixed costs are different. So this includes DEF fluid, reefer fuel, diesel for the truck, and a truck wash and a scale ticket. My variable costs on this load were $2,126.47. Now I also have to add $205 because I took every toll to get out east here. This load was under a time restraint, and I thought the quickest way to get here was to take those tolls. So if I add $205 to $2,126.47, I get a grand total of variable costs of $2,331.47. So if you subtract $2,331.47, my variable costs on this load, from my gross, which is $9,360, you get a total of $7,028.53. Now that's a number that's big, and a lot of people like gross numbers. That's not the number that I'm really concerned with. Here's the number that I'm concerned with. If you take my gross after variable costs, $7,028.53, and divide that by the overall gross, which was $9,360, then multiply it by 100, you have a profit margin this week of 75% after variable costs. Man, that's what I care about. I care about my bottom line, my profit margin. I don't really care about the big gross number. I want to make sure that my business continues to grow and continues to make money. The easiest way for me to track that is know what my margins are. So yeah, this week, my $10,400 week, I was able to keep 75% profit margin after variable costs. So yeah, if you found this video informational, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, you know what it is. Keep on trucking.